Hello children, in this video lecture I will explain you chapter of Hornbill, chapter 5 The Ailing Planet, The Green Movement's Role, written by Nani Palkhivala. Nani Palkhivala was an Indian jurist and liberal economist. In 1958, Palkhivala, a lawyer and private businessman, began an annual tradition of publicly expounding on the country's budget. These speeches brought him renowned as an expert on taxation and as a gifted orator. Palkhivala was named ambassador to the US, a position he held in 1979. He remained politically active later in life, lobbying for better living standards for India's poor and for a more effective and responsible government. This newspaper article is a sad commentary on the gradual deterioration of Earth's environment. Our planet is no longer a pleasant place to live in. Fisheries, forests, grasslands, croplands need to be preserved and protected. The article suggests that we should try to limit the rise in population and stop the perpetuation of poverty. The Green Movement, started in 1972, is the only hope for the survival of this planet as well as that of the human race. In this slide, children, as you know, I have given expressions with their meanings. Learn it well. Let's start explanation of the chapter. The following article was written by Nani Palkhivala and published in the Indian Express on 24 November 1994. The issues that he raised regarding the declining health of the earth continues to have relevance. One cannot recall any moment in world history which has gripped the imagination of the entire human race so completely and so rapidly as the Green Movement, which started nearly 25 years ago. In 1972, the world's first nationwide Green Party was founded in New Zealand. Since then, the movement has not looked back. The Green Movement was started about 25 years ago when this article was written, and it has completely and quickly caught attention of entire human beings. No other movement has ever affected imagination of human beings so quickly. The first national organization for Green Movement was established in the New Zealand in 1972. Since then, the movement has further grown and developed. It has not receded, it has not seen move back. We have shifted, one hopes, irrevocably from the mechanistic view to a holistic and ecological view of the world. It is a shift in human perceptions as revolutionary as that introduced by Copernicus, who taught mankind in the 6th century that the earth and the other planets revolve around the sun. For the first time in human history, there is growing worldwide consciousness that the earth itself is a living organism, an enormous being of which we are parts. It has its own metabolic needs and vital processes which need to be respected and preserved. One should hope that the humankind has now changed its approach and it will not return to old thought of considering life as being only mechanical. The new approach has now an overall perspective that includes all living beings and environment. This change is a very big change indeed, and it can be as big as a change as well as was taught by Copernicus. In 16th century he had said earth and other planets revolve around the sun. In the history of human beings, for the first time, awareness about earth is increasing. The earth is being considered as a huge living being and we are a small part of it. We have understood that the earth also has its requirement to sustain life on it, and such process needs to be respected and protected. The earth's vital signs reveal a patient in declining health. We have begun to realize our ethical obligation to be good stewards of the planet and responsible trustees of the legacy to future generations. The important aspects about the earth are indicating that its health is deteriorating. We have started to understand our moral duties as a good caretaker of its planet. We should act like a responsible custodian to hand over our heritage to earth to future generations. The concept of sustainable development was popularized in 1987 by the World Commission on Environment and Development. In its report, it defined the idea as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. That is, without stripping the natural world of resources future generations would need. The idea of development that can be maintained without harming future became popular in 1987. This concept was given by the World Commission on Environment and Development. This concept was defined as the development that meets requirement of the present generation without adversely affecting the ability of future generation to meet their needs, which means that present generation should not deprive the future generation of the natural resources they would need. In the zoo at Lusaka, Zambia, there is a cage where the notice reads the world's most dangerous animal. Inside the cage, there is no animal but a mirror where you see yourself. Thanks to the efforts of a number of agencies in different countries, a new awareness has now dawned upon the most dangerous animal in the world. He has realized the wisdom of shifting from a system based on domination to one based on partnership. Lusaka is a city in country by the name of Zambia. At the cage of a zoo in Lusaka, a notice has been put up. It reads the world's most dangerous animal. No animal has been put in the cage. It has a mirror. A visitor sees his or her own image in it. The message is that man is the most dangerous animal in the world. Several agencies in different countries have made efforts to create awareness about this new concept. Thus, a new awareness has emerged in the most dangerous animal of the world, the human being. Human beings have now understood that it is wise to move away from the system based on authority to concept of partnership. Scientists have catalogued about 1.4 million living species with which mankind shares the earth. Estimates vary widely as regards the still uncatalogued living species. Biological reckon that about there to 100 million other living species still languish unnamed in ignominious darkness. Scientists have identified and counted about 1.4 million creatures living on the earth. They share the earth with human beings. There is a huge variation about how many more creatures are yet to be identified. Biologists are of the opinion that about 3 to 400 million species are yet to be identified. They remain unnoticed, which can be considered a humiliating disgrace to those creatures. One of the early international commissions which dealt inter alia with the question of ecology and environment was the Brand Commission, which had a distinguished Indian as one of its members, Mr. L.K. Jha. The first Brand report raised the question: are we to leave our successor a scorched planet of advancing deserts, impoverished landscapes, and ailing environment? Brand Commission was one of the earliest international commissions that examined aspects of ecology and environment also. It had examined many other aspects also. A famous Indian, Mr. L.K. Jha, was also a member of this commission. In its first report, Brand Commission asked a question: for one future generation, are we going to leave a very hot planet? A planet where deserts will increase, the greenery would be less, and unhealthy environment. Mr. Lester R. Brown, in his thoughtful book, The Global Economic Prospect, points out that the Earth's principal biological systems are four: fisheries, forests, grasslands, and croplands, and they form the foundation of the global economic system. In addition to supplying our food, these four systems provide virtually all the raw materials for industry except minerals and petroleum derived synthetics. In large areas of the world, human claims on these systems are reaching an unsustainable level, a point where there is productivity is being impaired. When this happens, fisheries collapse, forests disappear, grasslands are converted into barren wastelands, and croplands deteriorate. In a protein conscious and protein hungry world, overfishing is common every day. In poor countries, local forests are being decimated. In order to procure firewood for cooking, in some places firewood has become so expensive that what goes under the pot now costs more than what goes inside it. Since the tropical forest is, in the word of Dr. Myers, the powerhouse of evolution, several species of life face extinction as a result of its destruction. Mr. Lester R. Brown has written a book titled The Global Economic Prospect. This book is full of several thoughts. In this book, he tells that there are four main biological systems. There are four main biological systems of Earth. First, marine life. Second, forest. Third, land for grass. And fourth, land for crops. These four systems are foundations for the economic well-being of the world. These four systems provide food for all species. Practically, this provide all the material for the industry except that for mineral and petroleum industry. In most of the areas of the world, human beings have taken away too much from these systems. In those areas, these systems may not survive for a long time. Growth of these systems has been reduced. When such situation occurs, marine life reduces to a great extent. Forests disappear, grasslands are converted into unproductive, useless land, and fields for farming reduces. The world is aware about requirement of protein, so it consumes more protein than needed. Thus, catching huge amount of fish from water is quite common. In poor countries, forests have been destroyed to great extent. To procure firewood in some places, firewood has become very costly. Cost of firewood has become more costly than the cost of food items. Dr. Mayer says that forest of hot climatic region is the main source of development of species. Thus, destruction of this forest would result the death of several species of life. It has been well said that forests precede mankind, deserts follow. The world's ancient patronymy of tropical forest is now eroding at the rate of 40 to 50 million acres a year. And the growing use of dung for burning deprives the soil of an important natural fertilizer. The World Bank estimates that a five-fold increase in the rate of forest planning is needed to cope with the expected fuel wood demand in the year 2000. It is wisely said that before human beings, Earth had large forests, and after mankind, Earth will be full of deserts. The old heritage of tropical forests are getting destroyed at the rate of 40 to 50 million acres per year. Due to shortage of firewood, animal excreta is also being used as firewood, though it is a natural fertilizer. Hence, soil is not getting manure to increase its fertility. The world has estimated that speed of planting trees to be increased 5 times. Then only we will be able to deal with expected requirement of firewood in the year 2000. James Speth, the president of the World Resources Institute, said the other day, "We were saying that we are losing the forest at an acre a second, but it is much closer to an acre and a half to a second. James Speth is the president of World Resources Institute. Some time ago, he said that the forests were decreasing at the rate of decrease would be about 1.5 acre per second. Article 48A of the Constitution of India provides that the state shall endeavour to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. But what causes endless anguish is the fact that laws are never respected nor enforced in India. For instance, the Constitution says that casteism, untouchability, and bonded labor shall be abolished. But they flourish shamelessly even after 44 years of the operation of the Constitution. A recent report of our Parliament's Estimates Committee has highlighted the near catastrophic depletion of India's forest over the last 4 decades. India, according to a reliable data, is losing its forest at the rate of 3.7 million acres a year. Large areas officially designated as forest land are already virtually treeless. The actual loss of forest is estimated to be about 8 times the rate indicated by government statistics. The Article 48A of the Indian Constitution specifies that the government will make efforts to protect and improve environment. It will also protect forest and wildlife of the country. But it is a matter of never-ending grief that laws are not respected nor applied in India. For example, Indian Constitution says that casteism, untouchability, and practice of bonded labor should be stopped in India. But without any feeling of shame, these practices continue in India even after 40 years of implementing of Constitution. A new report from our Parliament's Estimates Committee has drawn attention to disastrous reduction of forest in India. During last 40 years, according to authentic data, forests in India are reducing by about 3.7 million acres per year. Large areas which are officially called as forest land is practically without any forest. It is estimated that actual loss of forest is about 8 times the rate of depletion provided by government. A 3-year study using satellites and aerial photography conducted by the United Nations warns that the environmental has deteriorated so badly that it is critical in many of the 88 countries investigated. A study of the 3-year duration has been conducted by United Nations satellite and aerial photography has been used in this study. It has studied condition of 88 countries. The study says that in most of these countries, condition of environment has been damaged severely. There can be no doubt that the growth of world population is one of the strongest factors distorting the future of human society. It took mankind more than a million years to reach the first billion. That was the world population around the year 1800. By the year 1900, a second billion was added, and the 20th century has added another 3.7 billion. The present world population is estimated at 5.7 billion. Every 4 days, the world population increases by 1 million. Certainly, the increase in population of world is the biggest reason in damaging future of the human society. In 1 million years, population of the world reached 1 million. The population reached its number around the year 1800. From 1800 to 1900, population increased by 1 more million. Thus, in 1900, the world population became 2 million. At present, world population is about 5.7 billion. World population increases by 1 million in 4 days. Fertility falls as income rise, education spreads, and health improves. Thus, development is the best
contraceptive, but development itself may not be possible if the present increase in number continues. Here, author wish to say that when income rises, education spreads, health improves, and rate of increase of population reduces. Hence, development of society is the best method to reduce rate of population increase. But if the number of people goes on increasing, development of society may not be possible. The rich get richer and the poor beget children, which condemns them to remain poor. More children does not mean more workers, merely more people without work. It is not suggested that human beings be treated like cattle and compulsory sterilized. But there is no alternative to voluntary family planning without introducing an element of coercion, and the choice is really between control of population and perpetuation of poverty. The rich person would get richer. Children of poor people are forced to remain poor. Having more children does not mean that we would have more workers. It means that we will have more people without work. It is not recommended that human beings should be treated like animals and made up reproductive, but voluntary family and planning would certainly need some amount of compulsion. We would need to choose one of the two options, either control population or increase poverty. The population of India is estimated to be 920 million today, more than the entire populations of Africa and South America put together. No one familiar with the conditions in India would doubt that the hope of the people would die in their hungry hutments unless population control is given topmost priority. Presently, population of India is estimated to be about 920 million. It's more than the combined population of Africa and South America. Everybody who knows condition of India is sure that population control needs to be given highest priority in India. Otherwise, people of India may die due to poverty and hunger. For the first time in human history, we see transcending concern the survival not just of the people but of the planet. We have begun to take a holistic view of the very basis of our existence. The environmental problem does not necessarily signal our demise, it is our passport for the future. The emerging New World vision has ushered in the era of responsibility. It is a holistic view, an ecological view, seeing the world as an integrated whole rather than a dissociated collection of parts. In the history of human being, an increasing concern of being is seen in the first time. People are taking about survival of complete planet rather than only of human beings. We have started taking an overview about the existence. The present problem of environment may not be definitely mean that all human beings will be eliminated from the earth, but environment is the path or key for our future. This growing new thought has started a new period or age of responsibility. This is an overall view towards ecology. It is about considering the complete world as one instead of collection of separate parts. Industry has a most crucial role to play in this new era of responsibility. What a transformation would be affected if more businessmen shared the view of chairman of DuPont, Mr. Edgar S. Bullard, who 5 years ago declared himself to be the company's chief environmental officer. He said, "Our continued existence as a leading manufacturer requires that we excel in the environment performance." Industry needs to be play the most important role in the period of responsibility. A great change can be made if every businessman followed the views of chairman of DuPont, Mr. S. Bullard. 5 years ago, he had declared that he was the chief environmental officer of his organization. He said that to continue to exist as the prominent manufacturer, it was necessary to be excellent work we should do in environmental aspects. Of all statements made by Margaret Thatcher during the years of her prime ministership, none has passed so decisively into the current coin of English usage as her felicitous words, "No generation has a freehold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy with a full repairing lease." In other words, Mr. Lester Brown said, "We have not inherited this earth from our forefathers, we have borrowed it from our children." Margaret Thatcher had made several statements when she was Prime Minister. One of her statements is considered as the most appropriate statement in English language about environment. She said that nobody is the owner of this earth. We all have come here as a tenant for our lifetime. It is our duty to repair whatever damage we cause to earth. Mr. Lester Brown has said that we have not received this earth from our ancestors as our own property. We have borrowed it from our children. We must return it to them in good condition. Children now Children, now in further slides I have given textual exercise, textual question answers. Learn well and write down in your notebook. Along with this, children, I have given you few extra questions. These all questions you have to write and learn. Thank you.